the slide. I am going to share with you the slides I've prepared, which we are going to talk about quality improvement in nursing. So,
kindly allow Dennis to share.
Yes.
The slides. Karingo, Dr. Agnes, could you allow?
Yes, that's
great.
Yes, that's being done.
So you are going to share from your side or from my side?
Allowed to share.
So I think now we can start our presentation, and I welcome all of you. My topic is about quality improvement in nursing and also in healthcare, because we cannot talk about nursing alone. It's about all of us who are doing the healthcare duties in this country. So my objective by the end of this section, we are going to know what is quality care, and also we are going to describe quality improvement. So it is important, each one of us, to know that quality, when we talk about quality, quality is associated with excellence. Quality is associated with superior things, and quality is associated with the best. And I know if given the opportunity, we can talk good things about quality. There are some facts and principles which we should know when you are talking about quality. As healthcare providers, we should know that when you talk about quality, patient remains to be our top priority. Also, it is good to know that quality is achieved through people, and that all the work we do is part of the process of quality, and that every decision we make in our clinical setup as we offer these services, we have to know that they should be based on facts, evidence-based. And that quality requires continuous learning and improvement. So, and that is why even now KNH have organized for this quality week, because we have to keep abreast with what is happening. It's a continuous process, and we cannot avoid it as we move forward. There are many definitions of quality, but I want to pick one which is very simple and everybody can get it right. I can say quality is a product or service free from deficiencies. And that definition is coming from American Society of Quality. That everything we do, we want to do it well. We want to do it so that we don't have deficiencies. All the service we give, we are giving to our clients, we want to do it to our best. We want to do it free. It to be free from any deficiency. Then, what is quality in nursing and healthcare? So when you talk about quality in nursing and healthcare, we are talking of the healthcare delivery, which is accessible, which is effective, which is based on evidence. It meets clients' needs and expectations of the client. So as we talk of quality, we as healthcare providers and the client need to do our best. We have to meet the needs of these clients we are serving. We have to meet the expectation of the clients we are serving. Again, when we are talking about quality, it is important we know that it is about doing the right things. It is all about doing things the right way. And what do I mean by saying we are doing things right? It means that the interventions we are giving, the services we are giving to our clients, to our patients, they meet the client's need. When we say we need to do quality about doing right things right way, what does it mean? It means applying the correct processes efficiently and on time. Processes efficiently and on time as per the set standards. There is a quality grid here, which all of us needs to do. When we check on it, the green, it is what matters. Do things the right way and doing the right things as we offer our services to clients. Then there are pillars which quality is built on. And these pillars, number one is about standard. Number two, it is about guidelines. And number three, it's about client's need and expectation. So as we talk about quality, we need to think about standards. We need to think about the guidelines which we follow and what our clients are expecting from us. And I can explain what standard means. It's healthcare intervention, which serves as a reference point for evaluations. And I want to give an example. All newborns, admissions aged less than 14 days should receive vitamin K unless it has already been given. It is a standard, it cuts across that we know vitamin K should be given but to all less than 14 days newborns, a standard or practice all over across our country. So that is one of the building blocks of quality. The other examples there about guidelines, which is another also building block in quality, refers to a set of standards according to which a certain service should be provided in order to obtain the expected results. So these guidelines, we know the guidelines we follow, HIV national guidelines, KNH guidelines, and other guidelines which we follow in our clinical area. The other building block is about clients' need and expectation. As we do our care and we talk about quality, it is good we identify what the clients want, to understand what they want, and agree on the requirements, what the clients want. And once we do that, then we can plan on how to address the needs of the clients. And definitely, if we plan, then we are sure that we are going to meet the expectations of the clients and the needs of the clients, and we will be moving towards quality healthcare. Now, I have explained much about quality. I want us now to move to the next few slides, where we are going to talk about quality improvement. And there are some definitions I should give. There's quality improvement, QA, quality management, but I want to focus much on quality improvement, which the definition is raising the quality of a product or service beyond current standard. I repeat, raising the quality of a product or service beyond current standards. So another way of defining quality improvement, as we think about the definition of quality improvement, we need to know, to identify where are the gaps, what is causing the gaps. And then after doing that, we introduce measures to improve quality. And once we introduce measures, then again, we go ahead and monitor the impact of the interventions or the measures we have put in place. So in our daily functioning as healthcare workers, as nurses of this country, in our facilities, if we have to talk about quality improvement, then every time we need to assess what is happening in the health system, what is happening at our work area, what is happening, what is changing, what is it about the service we are giving, how better can we improve, are there gaps in those services, and what is causing these gaps? And once we do that, then we put measures in place, interventions in place, which can help us to improve. And then we don't leave it there. We go ahead and monitor the impact of the interventions we have put in place. And that is what we are calling quality improvement. What does quality improvement entails? We said, as we were doing in the introduction, quality improvement, it involves each and every one of us. Each and every one of us in our healthcare setup. The leadership of the institution needs to support quality improvement activities and innovations and interventions. Leadership plays a big role in quality improvement in an institution. Then, about this quality improvement, we should be client-focused. What do we want to do for these clients? We want our clients to be satisfied. What type of services are we giving to these clients? Then, we should think about teamwork. Nobody can do this alone. At the facility level, at the organizational level, it should be everybody working towards the ultimate objective of attaining quality improvement. And that is where now the issue of organizational quality teams, departmental working improvement teams comes in. And all these groups, once they work together and the workers, then with a clear pathway and objective of quality improvement, then everything works well. Every interventions we are doing in quality improvement should be data-driven. It should not be based on quality, empty writings. Have we done research? Have we identified the gaps? Have we done a survey of what is happening on the ground? Do we have quality improvement monitoring tools? Do we have the quality improvement work plans? So that we have something which is evidence-based. So it should be data-driven. We should be coming from somewhere of a gap to interventions which are going to fill in that gap and have quality services. The other things about system focus, the processes, the quality improvements, it entails improving the systems, the processes. How is the client's flow? How are the intervention in terms of clients waiting time and surveys? What we are doing in quality should focus on the system. We improve the system so that we have flow and good intervention which are aligned to the system of the institutions. And then the last thing about dissemination and shared learning. Once we do all these data-driven initiatives, we have done the work plans, we have filled the tools, we have to disseminate these to the whole organization so that everybody buys the idea of quality improvement initiatives. So dissemination and learning, shared learning, it is very important. And then also we say that these things should be continuous. Quality improvement, it's a continuous learning. We need to keep on learning and knowing what is happening currently so that we don't ride on things which are outdated. Another thing I thought it was good, we also talk about quality improvement. I don't want to talk about quality control. I don't want to talk about quality assurance, but quality improvement, it speaks about what can we do to improve. If it's KNH, all the nurses in this country, doctors, and other health workers, what do we want to improve at our workplaces? The other thing about this quality improvement, it is proactive. It is not reactive. Because you have identified the gaps, you know where you are coming from and where you are. It is proactive. You want to do things you want to sort out things before they happen. And then this quality improvement, it seeks to make products or services better than the current status. What are we doing now? What can we do better? All of us as a team, as an institution, what can we do? And you see, when we work together, we identify this together, then the issues of blame game goes away. The issue of mistakes goes away because we have known, we have done the root cause analysis. We know where the gap is, and we know how we can improve and sort out the issue of gaps. It does not focus on individuals. It focuses on the entire system. Once it focuses on the entire system with data, then it fosters system change. And when we attain this mind change and system change, we are anticipating that everybody in that organization, every healthcare provider, every leader will be moving towards change, the change we believe in. And through that change, we anticipate a tremendous improvement in our services. And that is what we are calling quality improvement. As institutions, as individuals, as healthcare providers, most of the time we focus on our internal operation, the standards we have set, the guidelines we have set at our facility level. We are focused much at, we want to see the positive effect once you apply the quality improvement principles to our clients. But sometimes we forget about the user, the client's perspective. And that is why sometimes there's a lot of disconnect. We find in our facilities, we have really majored much into systems. We have invested much into quality improvement initiatives. We have invested very much in trainings. But sometimes we forget about the user's perspective, the client's perspective. Are our clients satisfied? Are we giving timely services? Are we giving quality services? Are we delivering these services with the right attitude? That is where the major problem is. And I can say sincerely that we have a gap as healthcare providers, as nurses, as doctors, and healthcare workers. We focus much on the knowledge, what we do at our own perspective, but our clients satisfied. Every time you hear our clients complaining that I went there and stayed for 2 hours, for 3 hours. I went there and the attitude with the healthcare workers was not right. I went there. I didn't know the place to go. There were no good labels. That is where the challenge is. We may do all what we want, but if our clients are not satisfied, then by the end of the day, we find that the quality improvement we are talking about, it's not making that sense to them. So this is a challenge to all of us as healthcare providers, as nurses, as doctors, as institutions, can we check what the clients want? And we customize that so that they get satisfied. Although I know there are challenges in terms of other supporting resources, but our levels, this is where we need to work on user's eye, user perspective. And once we do that, everything will be well. As we think about this quality improvement, it is good to know that healthcare all over in the world and even in our country is a right. Every citizen of this country has a right to quality healthcare. So our initiative in quality improvement should be geared towards attaining quality healthcare to our clients. And through that, we are going to have good outcomes when it comes to management of our clients. How should these services, we are talking about quality improvement healthcare services, be? There's something we're calling STEP. They should be safe. Every time we are offering services to clients, they should be safe in our wards, wherever, avoid injuries. Timely. Our service should be timely. Reduce wasted and harmful delays. Are we keeping our clients for 10 hours? Timely is a key factor if you have to improve our services, if you have to talk about quality improvement. We need to have time waiting surveys for our clients and try all means possible to make sure that our clients don't stay without getting services when they come to our facilities. We need to reduce the waiting time for our clients. I know there are challenges of health workers, shortages and other things, but at our facility level, at management level, we can see how better we can go about it. Effective, our services should be effective. They should be based on scientific knowledge, evidence-based practice. That is what we are talking about. Evidence-based practice. Are we doing research in our facilities? Research should be a foundation of scientific knowledge in our facilities, and that one will inform our service delivery and care for our clients. Efficiency. Are we avoiding wastage? I'm not going to talk much about efficiency, avoiding wastage. We need to know we are working under limited resources, avoid wastage as we offer these services. Equitable, no variation in care. No variation in care, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of age, irrespective of social status. We need to offer these services to each and every Kenyan and citizen equally. Sometimes you may find those people are well up in the society, they come to your facility, and you want to give them the first priority. Why? We need to have equitable services to our clients. We don't want to give preference to any. Let us do the right thing. And then lastly, patient-centered care. Our services should be centered to the client. We don't want to have care which is like customized. We want to have care which is responsive to each and every client, each and every patient who comes to us. Let us assess. Let us do clinical assessment. Let us plan care as per the needs of that patient at that time. Let us work on holistic care. Holistic care, taking care of the physical part of it, taking care of the emotional and spiritual part of it. That supports the point of patient-centered care. Then, why should we talk about quality improvement? Why are we talking about quality improvement so much? Why this approach? It is good to know that this quality improvement approach, it values and voices the voice of the client. So as we talk about quality improvement, we need to think about the value and whether we are listening to the voices of the clients. If we are doing so, then we are working towards quality improvement. If it's about just coming to work, going to work, and then going home without meeting the values and the needs of these patients, then there's no quality improvement. Quality improvement approach recognizes technological advances. So in terms of care interventions, we factor in the changing dynamics of health needs and healthcare in the current generation. Quality improvement approach supports uniformity and quality. What is being done in KNH, it can be done in that facility at Kinango and is of quality. Uniformity, uniformity, uniformity. And then equity. When you talk about quality improvement approaches, it promotes advocacy, ownership, and support through the national and devolved system at all levels. And what I can say, quality improvement, the change we deserve, the change we are longing for, it starts from the source. It starts from me and you. It starts from the point of care. You as a health worker, you are meeting that client. The change starts at that point where you meet that client at casualty. Can you impact positively? Can you do the right thing? We're talking about the quality. Can you give the quality services? Can you follow the standards we are talking about? Can you follow the guidelines we are talking about? That change starts from there. And that is why we have all of us to purpose. We have in our hearts to purpose and say, that change should start with me. Do we have that client heart? If we do it, then the other processes of quality improvement, the measures the institutions have given, will be moving quite good. But as we talk about quality improvement, there are also challenges which we cannot assume. And these challenges is where all of us, we have to come together as leaders, as institutions, and see how we can support our workers, our health workers to deliver. Because if we are not supported to deliver, if the nurses are not supported to deliver, what are you expecting of them? If the doctors are not supported to deliver, what are you expecting of them? If other health workers, pharmacists, lab technicians, if are not supported, what are you expecting from them? Challenges. We have weak health infrastructures, and all of us, we know. We need to put systems in place which can support quality improvement journey. We have critical shortage of human resource across all cadres. We have the ratios which are acceptable worldwide. Have we attained that? I know in our country, no. as we move, as we talk about quality improvement in our institution and wherever we are, we should be then talking about how can we bridge that gap of critical shortage of staff so that our clients can get the best vertical interventions. Who is to make decision? Who is to give the resources? Budget constraint and donor dependency. How are we going to bridge it? And then also there are challenges of training. Our nurses are not getting specialized training. They're not being supported to go to school. Our doctors, our lab technicians, our clinical officers, are they getting the training they deserve? And I know all of us in this country, we know where we are and what is happening. We have to advocate for these trainings of health workers so that we may get quality, the quality we deserve. As I conclude, it is good to know that, remember, the quality revolves around the client. Clients, quality begets clients, and client begets quality. Let us all have action plans to support quality. This will make the world happy and earn us the blessing of Almighty God. And I want to quote from Quran. Personally, I am a Christian, but it's good I give you this quote from Quran, which says, actions are direct reflection of one's intention. So whatever you do as a healthcare worker, whatever I do as a healthcare worker, it's to that client, it's a reflection of what is in our hearts. So let us try as much as possible our action to reflect the true us, who we are, believers of quality improvement, believers of quality patient care, believers of patient-centered care, believers of change we deserve. Otherwise, I appreciate you so much for having time to listen to this presentation. And thank you very much, and God bless you all. The moderator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pitt. Thank you for your good presentation. There's questions on the chat box. Maybe if you could look at them as we go to the speaker, then we will have a joint plenary. Our speaker will be Mr. Odwar. We welcome you for this presentation so that we can be able to have this study. So Odwar is improvement advisor. His system analyst, he is with the System Evaluation Limited. He's worked in QI at the Kenya Health Federation, leading one of the committees, and then also he has a role in supporting the quality of care standards regulation in private health sector. Mr. Odwar is a registered clinical officer by background. Can we welcome Mr. Odwar and then also just have
Moderator, we can't hear you well, Dr. Is your mic adjusted well?
I will ask Agnes Carrico. I will listen in as she continues moderation so that it can be effectively moderated. Agnes, kindly welcome Mr. Odwar.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, I can hear you.
Thank you, Dr. Tway. Apologies for that, we couldn't hear you properly, but Mr. Odwar, karibu for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Agnes. Good afternoon, all. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So from this session, I'm going to pick it from where Dennis has left it. And Dennis basically left us at what does KY entail? So let me share out my presentation. Okay. Let me share it out just in a while. Just in a while. Just a little bit. Okay, thank you. Sorry for that. I guess I pick it from where Dennis has left it in terms of what KY entails. And the first oval shape that we had on Dennis' slide was leadership. So this presentation will be talking about leadership and KY and what works, basically what works. So I am Oduro Tieno. I'm a quality improvement advisor at Systems Evaluation Limited. I also serve this country through Kenya Healthcare Federation as a vice chair, Health Regulations, Quality and Standards Committee, and also at Health Systems Managers Association in the Service Delivery Technical Working Group. Can move forward, please. So in this session, this is basically a format on how we are going to approach it. I'll give a brief about systems evaluation, who we are, because I know most of us are interacting for the first time. From there, we'll talk about some 3 key lessons. These are basically lessons that I've observed from the field, interacting with quality improvement teams and facilities and healthcare organizations and institutions. We'll talk about the characteristics of KY success and see where leadership falls in it. We'll also look at what should leaders do then. We'll look at the hurdles that any leader is going to contend with when implementing KY activities or KY programs. We'll talk about some success tips, and then we'll have a plenary, and then we'll close out. So that's how that session goes. So on to the first slide, the next slide. So basically this is about us, briefly about us. Yes, continue. Yes, Systems Evaluation Limited is a consultancy firm. We provide health systems management advisory services, and we are based in Kisumu, Kenya. Our main drive is the quality component of every kind of service delivery that we provide to our clients. We are focused on that each and every client that we serve, we provide the best of quality, and that's what we have at the center of our business. Our role in the healthcare space, basically as a consultancy, is to plug in in the deficit in terms of strategy management by offering management advisory services that is tailored to each and every client. So as such, we do take it that for us, we support institutions, healthcare institutions in fine-tuning the software component of service delivery. The hardware basically is the part of infrastructure, human resource, commodities, and having in place patients and components. So that is the structure. For us, we do the software bit of it. So our service areas are 4 main service areas. That is health system strengthening. We look at overall management, organizational strengthening issues, and we give this a systems thinking approach, basically towards building better health systems. Our second service delivery element area is revenue cycle management. And in revenue cycle management, we are speaking to how institutions handle the revenue that is circulating within their facilities. How when a patient walks into a door, registration component, how the services this patient is provided with are charged, how bills are raised, invoices are raised, how claims are managed within the facility. So that is the other service component. We also provide support in research and learning to enable evidence-based management and also knowledge management for institutions providing healthcare services. And for this presentation, the other service area that it falls in is the quality improvement service area, whereby our main aim is basically towards building better experience for patients. And that's what we work on with our institutions and clients, and we support them in that. At systems evaluation, this is a snapshot of what drives us. Our mission here, we are looking at building better health systems. You can just keep yes. Our mission, that's the reason why we think we exist, to build better health systems across the board as we interact with our clients and healthcare institutions. So along this journey, our vision here is we look ourselves at, let's say, 10 years ahead to be the brand of choice in health systems management solutions for the emerging markets. And along this vision or this journey, we've got some basic strategic outcomes or results from the activities that we engage in. We are looking at these engagements giving really to improved healthcare experience for patients. We are looking at reducing per capita cost for patients and also health institutions, and also for the general improved population health. Along this cascade, we've got strategic activities, and one of them is like the one we are engaging in. And in these activities, some of them just a snapshot. We support institutions in building better care delivery platforms. That's the QI models and revenue cycle models. We drive innovations in co-production of care. We support institutions in embedding safety in the care delivery. And we look at guiding healthcare institutions in building efficient revenue cycle management practices, and also looking at innovations that helps institutions to close the wastage taps that they may have around their institutions. Across the entire population, in terms of the wider populations, we are looking at getting the available knowledge in clinical practice into everyday practice and supporting healthcare institutions to match the knowledge in science with what they provide in care. And that's basically a snapshot of it. So out of our service areas, this is what speaks to our session for today. QMS, quality management system, building better care delivery platforms. And whatever we are doing within these sessions during the entire week, the QI quality improvement week at KNH is basically looking at how to build better care delivery platforms, whether you'll be thinking about designing your quality management system or just doing competency assessment or just managing the QI process by way of employing the improvement science methods. So that is where we are, and that is what relates to our today's session. So picking it from where we are, leadership in QI. So we start at the boardroom. Everything else in every institution basically starts at the boardroom. So if you are joining this call and you are in management anywhere and you are supporting a board, hospital board somewhere, That's a question for you. How many times in the last 12 months has your hospital board or team had a conversation or meeting with at least one patient or family member of a patient who sustained serious harm at your hospital? So everything else starts at the boardroom. So this is a question for you. If you are joining the call, you are in a boardroom somewhere, you are in a management team somewhere, this is your question that basically you should take back home, because it's going to come up as we progress. And now this is a thought train. I want us to think about leadership and Q and quality improvement. QI leadership or leading for improvement. What does it really mean when we talk of leadership and QI? How different is it to general management leadership? And how different is it from technical improvement expertise? And what's so special about it? What are the risks of missing it on the table? So one, missing it on the table basically means that you'll always be firefighting in terms of QI, quality or safety for patients. And missing on the table also means that basically you'll always, there's that desire, but you'll always be on the edge of improvement. You'll basically be struggling with taking charge and moving forward. So that's a thought stream for everyone else to wrap their minds around and try to think about. We'll come back to that at plenary session. Next slide. So why does leadership matter in QI? So this is based on the interactions that we have had with institutions or leaders from the field in the healthcare space. So these are some of the lessons that we've come up with. We've seen leadership and QI is basically behavioral commitment. As a leader, you must have that commitment to improvement, because everyone else in the facility or in the unit watches what the leadership does in relation to their commitments. Behavioral norms articulation here, as a leader, you must be in a position to clearly articulate what describes what you describe as safety or quality for your institution, and what you describe as value for the patients or clinicians or the organization. In behavior modeling, as a leader, being that everyone watches you, it is your opportune time to use your own behavior, model it to shape the context or what you want to see within your institution or the facility. The other lesson is that as a leader, you must be in a position to illustrate the future that you desire for your facility or for your institution or for the unit in a way that resonates with everyone else in the unit. So that is a few lessons that we've learned from the field. And the main thing that comes out is that QI leadership is behavioral. That's why it's basically fairly different from general management. Next slide, let's move on. Yes. So when you look at characteristics of a successful quality management system, there are components of it that stands out. And the first one that we'll be talking about is QI, the leadership part. There is the people component, there is the information, how you manage data, how you manage the knowledge that comes in through your door, and how you track performance. But for this session, we are going to talk about QI leadership. And this, what comes out clearly, as a leader, you must first of all care about the work that you do. You must care about the work that you do, the patients that you serve, and the organization that you serve. If you don't care about the work that you do, then that means you will lack the ambition to move forward. And as a leader, you must be ambitious on what you really want to set out for. And when you lead quality improvement initiatives or programs, you must be comfortable to try out things, because QI is always about testing initiative, testing ideas. So as a leader, you must be comfortable with trying out things, basically the essence of experimenting. Fourthly, as a leader, you must be able or be in a position to track the data, collect evidence that you are generating across the board. And across all the leadership cascade, as you take care of leadership roles, as you take up leadership roles in your institution, be it in a small unit, be it in a team of 4 or a team of 16 or 30 persons, there are some underlying themes that you must have at the back of your mind. As a leader, are you self-aware of what you're trying to achieve and what you demand or what you require for your teams? The other component is that, are you self-aware of the element of what we call psychological safety in practice for QI? If you are leading a unit, are your team members able to voice out patient safety concerns, even to the senior leadership? We'll answer that. That's an element of psychological safety. So as a leader, you must be able to bring that out. And safety culture, leading quality improvement ideas or innovations means that you must, as a leader, be able to crystallize what is it that you mean by patient safety. When you talk about safety, is it the same language that everyone else understands? As a leader, you must be in a position to drive the establishment of a just culture within your unit. For a wider organization, we call this organizational fairness or just culture in the QI systems. Or the fifth theme that you should have at the back of your mind is, how do you create learning systems within your unit or within your organizations? Because these are all themes that will drive your leadership exploits and take you towards a step towards success or not. We'll interact with them as we proceed. Next slide. Yes, so this leadership and QI, this is where the rubber meets the road. And from this, I quote from Marjorie Godfrey. She says that improvement in healthcare is 20% technical and 80% human interaction, So the technical bit of QI is basically the tools, the technical expertise that you'll be introducing to your teams, introducing to your facilities. That's the technical bit. The capacity building element, that's the technical part. But the greater part is that QI or improvement relies so much in human interaction, the person-to-person interaction. As a leader, your daily interactions with your team members, be it stakeholders, be it service delivery teams, the person-to-person interaction, that is basically what will drive the efficiency of any QI team that you'll be bringing up or establishing within a unit. And along this time, in terms as you create a long-term relationship, you'll be looking at various strategies or approaches or methodologies that we are supporting you as a leader as you move across. So the main thing around leadership and quality improvement is human-to-human interaction, person-to-person interaction. And we are going to basically be talking more about it. How do you build that? How you get to be self-aware of what is expected of you as a leader and also as an improver yourself. Because first and foremost, you are a leader. And second, you're also an improver. Next slide. So what should leaders do? For anyone tasked with leading improvement initiatives or improvement programs, this is what you need to be alive to. First of all, you need to hear stories. Hearing stories means getting what the kind of patterns or data that is generated from your facility or unit in relation to quality of care. You have to hear stories from the front line in terms of the service providers. What do they speak or what are they saying in relation to quality of care? And you also have to hear stories from patients. That's where the first question came about, at the board management level or at the unit level. Are you listening to patients? And listening to patients here for QI goes beyond the routine patient surveys experience. Once you've got the patient surveys and patient experience feedback sessions, what do you do with that? How do you move into the next stage? How do you involve your patients in it? So that is the first aspect. And the stories that you hear about has to be factual, evidence-based. That's what we believe in. The next thing that you need to do as a leader, set out your vision. Whatever is it that you aim to achieve for your unit or your institution or organization, you need to set it out and crystallize it in a manner that everyone else flows in the same stream of thought. The third aspect that any leader needs to do is to integrate care services, care systems within the facility, be it within teams or be it from one person to the next, so that you don't have the same unit or the same department or the same institution working in silos. The other component, what a leader should do is bring out a culture that supports quality improvement or improvement ideals. And this culture centers around trust. We'll talk about it, how you need to embed that. The other thing that a leader must do is research and learning. And Dennis said that you must, as you implement your activities within your facilities, you must have a keen interest in what kind of data you are generating, and get to know what do you learn from it. And that is the first step into getting to know how to manage the kind of knowledge or resources that are coming through your door, be it from service delivery teams, or be it from your patients, or be it from your stakeholders. The final thing that any leader needs to do, leaders in QI, you must demonstrate accountability. And executive accountability in QI brings out the element of to err is to human, in that even though you are a leader, you are still fallible. You are still vulnerable to any kind of challenges that you might meet around the board. So as a leader, you must demonstrate that, the accountability aspect on what goes on around your facility, be it on general management issues or QI intervention or QI programs issues. So let's get to the next step here in our stories. The next slide. So in getting to hear the stories, it's not only patients and families, it's only patients and families basically who have a privileged view of the experience within a within a facility. When a patient walks into the door, from the registration point up to the time they walk out, it's only that patient that understands how the entire facility basically operates. As a healthcare service provider in your clinic, you only have an understanding of your interactions with the patient, but the patient and the families or the caregivers that accompany this patient have a wider experience throughout the entire facility of the hospital. So it is a fact, you need to listen to these patients. You need to go deeper and get to listen to what really concerns them in relation to quality of care. As healthcare workers also, we need to also listen to one another within the teams. As you lead QI teams, you need to listen to one another. So one aspect of getting to hear these stories is through clinical audits or the data that you generate, having a look at this data. What does it tell us in relation to the quality of care standards that we subscribe to? And from here, we develop opportunities for improvement. Because in the improvement practice, there is always room to improve. That is given. Listen to the data, what the data gives you, be it clinical audit or just be it random, general or routine reporting practices. How also listening to patient stories or staff stories. Let's say those who have experienced harm in your facility or near misses, listening to those stories and getting around it in a way that enables the QI leader to move to the next step of how do you provide accountability in relation to the service that occurred or that the service that was provided within your facility. If it is harm, are you disclosing this to the entire service team or to the patients? What kind of support do you need to provide to the teams and also the patients that makes you move a step towards rectifying or building up or establishing systems to prevent future harms or to embed patient safety within the practice? So as a leader, you must be ready to do that. Once you don't listen to your patient or hear these stories, you'll basically be in a dark room of sorts. Next slide. as you set out for your KY activities or your key, when you set out to lead quality improvement initiatives, you need to have a vision on site. You need to have to set your aims, especially for every fiscal year. What are your quality improvement aims? And in management, in routine management, we get, let's say, CEO boards getting scorecards. We generate scorecards or targets, and mostly, let's say, around overall facility performance, be it on revenues and the rest. So as a QI leader, as a leader who is tasked with leading quality improvement or improvement initiatives, you need to set specific aims for each and every fiscal year. Whether it's around patient safety or QI target boards, you need to have this coming out. What I put there is just a sample. You may have various or a number of quality improvement measures or quality of care measures that you are keen on as a unit. So for example, this unit, let's say a surgical unit, may be keen on looking at unscheduled return to the operating room within 24 to 48 hours of the initial operation. That might be a worry to you. So you may look at it, and if you set your site, this is what goes into your QI target board or patient safety target board. You look at the indicator, the number of patients that are taken back to the theater within 48 hours of initial operation, and baseline performance, where you are, is it at 12% or 18%? And then this one also is aligned to the quality of care measure around this. What does the standard say? Does the standard speak of less than 5% for unscheduled returns? If you are doing at 12% or 15%, that shows you what you need to do. So as a fiscal year target, you need to look at, our aim is to reduce unscheduled return to the OR within 48 hours of initial operation by 5% in the next 12 months. Setting this aim and having this aim visualized somewhere in the department or in the unit supports the QI teams or work improvement teams in that unit to narrow their focus on the task ahead of them. So in most cases, in most institutions, what we've seen, the aims are set, but they are not visualized for the, let's say, for in the units or for the entire facility. Yes, the aims are set, the leaders knows the aims, the visions, they have their vision, they have their strategy. It's set, but it's limited to the strategy documents or the vision statement. So as a leader, when you are getting off, taking up your roles as a QI leader within the unit, you need to have this somewhere, visualize it, and let everyone else within the unit visualize it. Next slide. Something else that a leader needs to do is integrate services. In most cases, within our facilities, we have units that basically are highly standardized. For example, blood transfusion services or radiotherapy for that matter. And being the nature of their high standardization, you will find that they are doing some exemplary services in relation to quality of care. And these services will always appear basically as pockets or islands of excellence within the greater unit. What a leader ought to do is that whichever unit you are in, you need to be alive to what excellence or what pockets of excellence do you have within your unit. How are you able to integrate these so that each and every unit gets a feel of what's happening in unit C or unit B? If you are at the A&E accident and emergency unit or the casualty department, does the casualty team have an understanding of how the care they deliver the casualty impact on patient management at the ward, for example, at the inpatient sections? The casualty team may be doing a wonderful service, and the inpatient wing may not be alive to that. Because as we've seen across, there is always variation across different clinical teams. Whatever is considered as good care within another unit may be somehow quite strange to a different unit. So within the hospital setup, as a leader, you need to establish system-wide level measures that each and every unit or quality improvement team is able to relate with, be it in small units of 4 or 3 or 5, or a bigger or the larger entire facility. Next slide. So yes, the cultural appeal. Yes, stop there. Back. Yes. In this picture, we have Karura Forest on the top. And then there's a picture of somewhere in the coast, Diani, the sandy beaches. In terms of culture, whenever you step into the forest, let's say Karura Forest for that matter, for those who are in Nairobi, it gives you, there's a different feeling or aura that it gives, brings, excites into you. For example, stepping into Karura Forest, you see everyone else is jogging up. You feel like you need your sneakers on and your tracksuit to start jogging up. That's a cultural appeal that is built around the forest. When you go down at the coast, the moment you step at the coast, let's say at the beach, the feeling that you get is that you need to get your hammock somewhere and sunbath. That's the feeling. So different environments and different emotions or actions that they evoke in us. So as a leader, when you're leading quality improvement activities in your unit, you need to basically establish a culture that evokes the urge to improve something. Yes, let's go forward. Yes, so the task as a leader, you task them as at the facility in relation to cultural appeal, the culture to improve, the culture towards patient safety, the culture towards a just organization or a just culture, or the culture towards psychological safety. These are components that you can localize within the unit. For example, I will give an example around, let's say, an operating theater. In the operating theater, there's a small team. The Surgeon General is there, the anesthesiologist is there, the nurses are there, and also the other team members are also there. In relation to psychological safety, as a team leader, how forthright are your team members are in terms of raising out or voicing out their concerns that are related to patient safety? For example, in the surgical units, we have the sign-in sessions and the timeout sessions and the sign-out session. If you are let's say the surgeon on the table that day, as the leader, are you able to inculcate the culture of everyone within the team coming up and reminding you, oh sir, we've not done our sign out properly, or we are missing a component of, let's say, the timeout session, the surgical checklist, for example, the surgical safety checklist, for example. That's the element of psychological safety and trust that as a leader leading quality improvement, you must be able to bring this out within your team. It takes time, it is a process, and back it goes to human to human relations. So once you are able to do this, it means that within each and every unit, whenever someone steps into your facility or into your team, that cultural appeal to voice out concerns or to take up KY initiatives is basically inborn. It comes without prodding. And that is what drives a team spirit of learning and improvement across maybe the unit and the entire facility. And once you are able to establish that cultural appeal towards improvement or patient safety or a just organization, you will basically step away from firefighting in relation to patient safety issues. Because in the event that your team members are able to voice their concerns comfortably and with the idea that it will be taken up, you will not basically move to the next step of firefighting in relation to patient safety issues and quality of care shortcomings. Next slide. Yes. The other components that a leader ought to be keen on is a mentorship coaching. KY implementation is a learning experience. We're always on the learning move. And as a leader, you must be in a position to bring the learning experience out of your team, be it on individual coaching basis or group-based coaching activities, driven towards improving the quality of care. As a leader, you must establish this within your teams and within your unit. And this is what will basically enable you to bring new knowledge into practice, whether from research or from the experiences or the data that you gather from within the facility. And
Mr.
you also
Odor, kindly summarize in the next 5 minutes so that we can have time for questions. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, the next slide. So the part of data collection as a leader, to encourage spread of ideas, you need to show data. You will be showing evidence. What have you handled before? The evidence that has come out, because that is what basically goes towards convincing or making your case. So leadership and accountability. This is what Management 101 gets us. You develop visions, the mission statement, the strategies, and the quality statements, and give a press statement. In QI, this usually alone doesn't work, because as a leader, you need to model this around the team or what you desire for the team. And in behavioral modeling, this is what drives your team towards coming up to speed with what we desire and the vision. So as a leader, the team within QI activities will be looking out towards what you desire. So in executive accountability, in most cases, when you're leading changes, you're looking at the systems and the structures. That is good enough. But when you lead QI or transformational change, you also need to look at the cultural appeal, what we call the soft skills, the underbelly, people's values around the work they do. How do you build up their values or their interest? How do you capacity build them to do their work better? That is the element of the soft skills. How do you collaborate or become part of the team and break the hierarchy of leadership? Because in QI, once you are able to break the hierarchy of leadership, you are a step ahead. Next slide. Yes, so as a leader, you also need to take care of your teams. So how do you take care of your teams? In relation to actions and attitudes, you have to encourage the change that you desire. Encourage the team. Encouragement basically builds this team that drives the process. Praise the team when things go well, and back the change process, even in failure. Because all along, we said that QI is about testing new ideas. Some will work, some will not work. So as a leader, you must be in a position and you must bring up yourself up to speed in relation to backing the process or backing the changes that you desire to come across. Next slide. Next. Yes, just as we are aware, the challenges will always be there for a leader, and how you surmount the challenges is what basically sets you up with in relation to success or not. One challenge with leadership that we have experienced is how do leaders model the behaviors and attitudes that they want to see. If you are a leader and you are not able to model this behavior, you may have a long way to go with the improvement ideals. The next challenge is that QI processes and transformations takes time to achieve. So as you step up to QI roles, you must bring this up to at the back of your mind that it takes time to achieve. And how do you deal with hierarchy? The shareholders, the boards of management, being that it takes time to achieve, the hierarchy, how you deal with the hierarchy is a greater challenge in that you may step up for a QI role. Within 2, 3, 6 months, they don't see the change that they desire, and you are off the table. And how you deal with your stakeholders and the management matters a lot. The other hurdle is that improvements need investments. So how do you navigate that? So these are your tasks that basically will help you go along in terms of surmounting the hurdles. The first and the most simplest is act for and represent your vision. Whatever you envision, you have to act for it. You have to model it in terms of attitudes and how you behave. You have to be comfortable with trying out stuff. Improvement is basically about experimenting, and it takes time. You have to manage the expectations of the board and the shareholders. Lay it down to them that whatever the journey that we are setting out on, it takes time, and this is what you'll need. Whatever resources that you'll need, you have to lay it down for the board or for the stakeholders that these are the kind of resources we'll need, whether it be for capacity building resources or just the time or the effort needed to see transformational change. You have to lay it down for each and every stakeholder or member of the team or improvement unit that you are interacting with. Next slide. These are just nuggets for high performance in QI. You must establish that constancy of purpose. You must invest in improvement, align the role of training for efficiency and staff satisfaction, the interdependence of the care team to meet patient needs. You must integrate information IT into your workflows, and continuous capacity building, supportiveness of the large organization, and connection to the community to enhance care delivery and extend influence. These are basically a few snaps around that. And for leaders, this is what we always seem to contend with. And we all agree that we are responsible for everything, but whenever things go wrong, that's when everyone starts pointing a finger at the leaders. So leading QI initiatives or programs, this also ought to be at the back of your mind. Your responsibility is for everything in the organization, especially those that go wrong, that don't go as expected within your facility. So that's a higher burden or a higher responsibility that we carry along. I think should be to the next or final slide, I suppose. These are tips for each and every healthcare management team. If you purpose to spend at least 25% of your meeting time on QI, you are on the first step and you are good to go. Track quality improvement performance measures regularly. Establish high-level interaction between management team and the service providers on quality strategy. Performance on QI roles on leadership. This can be included on the leadership scorecard. When you do contracts and maybe performance evaluations for leadership roles, the QI roles, include this in your scorecards. That's a step ahead. And also the highest ranking officers who are easily identified with the QI process should be able to speak out and stand out and model the quality improvement initiatives or strategies that they would want to see. I think that should be to the last slide. Yes, thank you. And it says, as we start from the board, we also end in the board. Until leaders own that problem, I don't think improvement is going to happen. The buck stops in the bedroom. That's by Dr. Donald Bowick, a key QI luminary from IHI. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Odwor. That was quite an elaborate presentation. We are truly grateful, and I'm sure we are seeing ourselves in the mirror in a number of things. I asked participants just to give us a little bit more time. The next presentation would only take 10 minutes each, so we can share Madam Agneta Chelimo's slides. Agneta is the head of standards and process improvement at KNH. She's one of the pioneer leaders there. She's a nurse by BSN by background, a peri-op nurse also, and is trained in Lean Six Sigma, has both yellow and green belt, and is looking forward to have a black belt. So Agneta, you are our host for this QA week. Thank you. Just help us know your journey at KNH very briefly. Karibu.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Odwor, for that introduction. I'm going to take you through the KNH quality improvement journey. And as you all know that November 2021 is the World QI Celebration Month. And so as a nation, we are not left behind, and more so Kenyatta National Hospital. So most of our presenters earlier have mentioned much about QI. So mine is just to highlight and mention that why QI at this November and at this particular day. So we are saying that engaging in quality improvement activities is essential because again, it is more of the triple aim, and we all know about the triple aim in IHI that it focuses on the patient experience, the population, and a reduction of cost, and also improving the provider experience. A successful program always incorporates the principles of QI. And we are saying the principles of QI are mostly the customer focus. Our presenters earlier have mentioned about this so much. And so we are saying these principles is more about customer focus. QI is continuous. It's not ceasing, and it has to have a clear goal and a clear problem statement at the beginning so that you get it right from the beginning. And so again, you need to standardize all about what you've done. And we are saying again, what are the benefits of QI? The earlier presenters have mentioned about the QI pillars, talking about the STEEP. So the benefits of QI is more again on safety. We are saying that when you practice QI, you optimize patient's care, and it's more about the effectiveness. So when we do QI, it's more about ensuring that we reduce the chances of failing or doing it right at the first time. And again, it's more about the patient-centeredness, having respect for the patient, value-based care to the patient. So again, Otieno mentioned about the QI is that QI is proactive and not is not reactive. So we are saying that the benefits is more about improved process and recognizing and solving the problems before they occur. So we are saying you ensure that you do it right at the first time. So again, it's about cost effective. So it ensures that processes are less expensive because you are doing it right at the first time. And again, it's about efficiency. So doing QI, the benefit is improving processes, and it makes it easier so that you don't incur about errors, and more about ensuring that supplies are adequate. And so it makes one gain energy. So what is quality improvement? Earlier presenters have mentioned this again and again, and I just want to mention that it is a combined and unceasing effort of all the healthcare providers, all the patients, all the families, researchers, planners, and everybody else, so that we realize a quality outcome of our customers. Again, what is quality? Earlier presenters also have mentioned this, and I'm just mentioning that quality depends on where you sit. If you are a patient, you need timely services, efficient. If you are a provider, you need to be comfortable when you are providing the services. If you are in the management, you need a system to work well. And if you are in MOH, probably you need to have a universal health care and probably equitable and reachable resources. So it depends on where you sit in. But again, Edwin Dunning, quality improvement guru, mentioned that quality is meeting and exceeding the customer's needs and expectations. So we are saying that quality is mandatory and it depends on where you sit. So the quality journey in KNH, we are saying that quality improvement didn't start yesterday or the few years, but it started way back in KNH. KNH realized quality in 1992, where they started a quality assurance department. This is when the department was formed, and we've been told that quality assurance more so is also about quality improvement, but it deals more about certification, and it is more about ensuring that processes are defect-free the way quality improvement is. So 1992 is when KNH formed the quality assurance department, and in 07, the journey of quality improvement again evolved, and KNH received ISO 9001 2008, And so this is when the QMS structures were formed. And in 2018, we again moved and got ISO 9001-2015 certified. And this is when Gemba Kaizen was started. And this is a model of improvement. We all know about the models of improvement, including the Lean Six Sigma, Gemba Kaizen, IHI models of improvement. So KNH in 07 began the Gemba Kaizen. In 2016, the Kenya Institute of Management, KIM, took through 3 departments in Kenyatta National Hospital in training on Lean Six Sigma. And this brought up a lot of impact in the institution, in the accident and emergency, pediatrics, and reproductive health. And up to now, we are seeing the impact, and it was something that we needed to emulate. So in 2017, this is when Standards and Process Improvement Unit was started. And it was not only Standards and Process Improvement Unit, KNH came up with other units, patient safety, and more so the healthcare quality division, which has 5 units under it, namely patient safety, process improvement, standards and process improvement, patient affairs, IPC, and public health. Although those other units have been there before, but again, healthcare quality as a division is under all those units. So we are saying again, in the same year, we got a support from a GIZ who took us through a quality improvement initiative, and about 11 departments were trained on IHI model of improvement. And so we realized a lot of improvements in the institution. And this is where the management and leadership got a buy-in and ensure that this is something that is very important, that we need to continue improving the processes. So again, in 2019, Kenya Institute of Management trained 36 staff who received a yellow belt certification in Lean Six Sigma. So again, these are champions on the ground that are ensuring that quality improvement is continued on the department. In 2020, again, Lean Six Sigma training was supported by KIM, Kenya Institute of Management, and 15 staff received a certification on Green Belt. This is a great achievement in the institution, and so it ensures that we get a lot of knowledge and ensure that we do improvements. In 2021, again, the management supported and paid for 20 staff to be trained on ISQA fellowship. So we appreciate the journey of quality improvement in the institution, that we are seeing that we are continuously improving a quality improvement, and we are having skills and knowledge given to our members of staff. So what is the impact of continuous quality improvement in the institution? We are seeing that we got a buy-in in the management and leadership, and that is why the unit was started, process improvement, patient safety, and these other ones. And there is a lot of support from the leadership when it comes to quality improvement initiatives. So again, management initiated the standards and process improvement, as I mentioned, and the culture of continuous improvement has been realized in the institution. Improved QI initiatives in the departments have been realized. And so again, we are seeing that there is a reduced length of stay. And this is something very important, that our patients come and get exactly what they came to receive in the institution. So again, we've seen improved diagnosis because when they come, things are done right the first time. So staff capacity building through training is ongoing, and the knowledge on signs of improvement with the frontline workers have been impacted. So again, sustained improved efforts of the teams showing measurable improvements on the ground. Spread of the same to the other units have been realized. So what informs the gaps that we need to do improvements? In KNH, we do a biannual clinical audit. And so after the clinical audits, the recommendations that come up through the clinical audits is the gap. The quality improvement team comes in to ensure that the implementation is done. So again, KNH being a research institution and teaching hospital, we do a lot of researches. So the research findings, the gap that come through the research, again, this is where we are informed about the gaps, and so the implementation of the same is done through quality improvement. We again do a lot of surveys, audits in the institutions. We do get daily reports every day, and this is again informing the management and the institutions and the departments that if there is any incidences, any reports that need improvement. So this involves the gaps. Again, we have mentioned of the incident reports, medical errors, and many a times brainstorming from the units and the departments. And people realize that, hey, we need to improve. So, and the departmental quality improvement committees, we have DQAC, which are being done monthly in the institution. So many a times, this again, people come up with gaps that need to be closed, or the implementation needs to be done. And many a times, again, leadership directives, they direct that we need to implement on the quality improvement. So what is the way forward? We are saying continuous staff training and sensitization is what we need in the institution. We need to collaborate with the stakeholders, and we need to promote culture and continuous improvement. Strengthening the process improvement unit, because we realize that the process improvement unit needs to have enough staffing, enough space, and get enough knowledge to ensure that when they are doing the improvements on the other departments and units, they have enough knowledge to ensure that the same is executed. So we also need the leadership support so that at least the improvements are realized on the ground. So again, the aspects we need to be addressed, that we've realized that we need to be addressed on the ground, is all about the culture. We need a culture change and a culture of continuous quality improvement on the staff. And of course, the expectation from the management is so high that we need to ensure that we work the journey together. And we also need skilled and motivated workforce from the ground so that at least the improvement is realized and it's being sustained. We also need resources. We know that there is a lot of workload being a referral hospital. And again, they're part of the budget and finance funding. So, and the sustainability, you realize that when you are doing a QI, sustainability has been a challenge. And so this needs to be very taken care of, so that at least we realize that whatever is being improved is also sustained. The issue of infrastructure I've mentioned, and the communication and coordination. So again, lessons learned. We are saying leadership is very important. The earlier presenters have mentioned this again and again. So the issue of leadership and management is very important when you need to succeed in quality improvement. We need a committed multidisciplinary team. You realize that quality improvement is not only for one cadre, neither is it for one person. We need a multidisciplinary healthcare workers, be it the doctor, the nurse, pharmacist, lab, and so many other allied healthcare workers. So again, we need the momentum to be gained with availability of resources. And we've mentioned again and again that quality improvement is a continuous process. And we've realized that again, from the beginning, we need to have a clear problem statement and a SMART goal so that you don't go wrong as you go along. So it's very important to ensure that the goal at the beginning is SMART and a clear problem statement. So in summary, we are saying that improving health care quality is everyone's responsibility. It's very important to note this, that improving healthcare quality is everyone's responsibility, not only for the leadership, not for the management, not for frontline workers. It is everyone, starting from watchman at the gate and everybody else. So again, we as KNH, we are saying we are committed to continuous quality improvement. And we are mentioning that every system is perfectly designed to give the results you see. So you don't expect to see a better result when you've not begun to improve. And we are also mentioning again that apart from doing the work that you are being employed to do, ensure and have intention of improving it every day. Thank you so much, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Chelimo. We truly appreciate the presentation. We have just one last presentation that is the icing on the cake on a project that our head of unit for standard and process improvement have worked with the medical wards. So we welcome Lillian just to take us through the pressure ulcer presentation, the quality improvement initiative to address pressure ulcers. And it was a great pleasure working with the team from medicine. Lillian is a nurse by profession. She's a BSN and exemplifies a lot of the qualities that Odor and Mbidi were talking about. She leads at the front line while we support from the dedicated people for quality. We are glad we had two projects, one from surgery, another one from medicine. And so let me allow Lillian to do this in 7 minutes. When you did for Stanford, you did in 7 minutes. Let's give it a try again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Chari, for that elaborate introduction. I'm going to talk about our QI journey. It's a project which was initiated to us by Stanford Acquire Process Improvement Project that we did in medicine department. Indeed, medicine is a very large department in this hospital. We are about 8 medical wards. So we chose a quality improvement journey on 2 pilot wards. That is ward 7D and 8D, where we picked on pressure ulcers as our main QI project. And it's worthy to note that pressure ulcers or decubitus ulcers are a silent pandemic in our midst, and we need to make it our QI agenda. So in terms of team members, we started this in April, May, where we picked the team members as shown, and Dr. Lydia Okitoi was our mentor, and Agneta Chelimo was our coordinator from process improvement. We had, most of them were frontline nurses, and Ayub Alendi was coming from medical health information. So we did this project through mentorship and coaching from Stanford Group, and we used 3A as our scientific approach. We were introduced to 3A scientific approach by Stanford team, and we came up with pressure ulcers as our main title of the project. So pressure ulcers has been a major problem in KNH, as 30% of inpatients develop pressure ulcers during hospitalization. This is from previous audits that we are also working on in this year. So this contributes to increased length of stay, cost of care, high morbidity and mortality rate among these patients. So in terms of our targets, we set a target of increasing utilization of pressure ulcer care bundles from 9% to 50% in medical wards. In the pilot medical wards, by the end of October 2021, this QI journey was a 5-month journey. So our baseline data, we went to the ground and checked on the utilization of pressure ulcer care bundles. And our baseline data was at 9% utilization, and then we set our target at 50% with a mean of 30%, a process mean of 30%. So in our pre-intervention process map, we identified areas and processes that patients go through so that we can be able to determine where our improvement journey starts and then it ends. So in terms of this process map, we identified that patients coming through our admissions desk, they are then identified the wards where they are going, allocated into the specific wards. This is where pressure ulcer assessment and categorization should begin. And then definitive management is followed. Then we measure the outcome of this management. Yes, we are able to measure a few outcomes as we are going to see. So before we started the journey, we went through a process of identifying causes of pressure ulcers in our department. We used the Fishbone Diagram to identify the causes, and then we identified the priority ones through Pareto diagram. So in our Fishbone Diagram, I'm just going to mention a few. In terms of methods, we realized that there are inadequate methods of handling patients who are at risk, because there are poor techniques of moving patients who are immobile and adherence to 2-hour turning. In terms of materials, we had lack of or inadequate materials that were able to keep patients moving. Materials like lipo mattresses, proper beds, patients were able to move. In terms of people, we realized that our nurses were non-adherent to standard SOPs in terms of pressure ulcer management. And there was lack of multidisciplinary approach to these patients. In terms of measurements, we realized that there is poor knowledge on staging of pressure ulcers, poor knowledge in skin assessment, and in terms of environment, we realized that patients were also many, overcrowding, and lack of patient safety culture among our nurses. In terms of the prioritization, we realized that patient immobility and patient incontinence, among these other factors, were the major problems that we could work on at this particular time. So from Fishbone to key drivers, we moved into key drivers, and key drivers were conditions that enabled us to make interventions easy for our patients. So we identify 4 key drivers that we needed to work on. Development of KNH pressure ulcer care bundles, one of the key drivers, risk factor identification and skin assessment, staff awareness, and patient mobility. So we had these interventions for the key drivers that we had chosen. So for the intervention, for the development and adoption of KNH pressure ulcer care bundles, the interventions that we came up with were printing and displaying a large A4 posters that identified how patients could move from outpatient to inpatient wards, and especially on the pressure ulcer care bundles. There are numerous care bundles for pressure ulcers, but we identified 3 key ones that we were able to work on during that short period of QI journey. Then conducting CMEs on care bundles that were applicable in these pilot wards. Those were the 3 bundles that we picked: the skin assessment, turning of patients, and identification and categorization of patients who are vulnerable to developing pressure ulcers. And then ensuring availability and consistent use of the Braden scale tool that was adapted in KNH as KNH 507 documents. So the next key driver that we worked on was risk factor identification and skin assessment for our patients. Interventions included staff sensitization on pressure ulcer risk factors, and then categorization. As you can see, the nurses are going through this CME every morning. Then comprehensive skin assessment to be done upon admission to include moisture, color, temperature, consistency, and integrity of the skin. and as well as documentation of the risk status and patient categorization, so that the nurses are able to know which patients are at very high risk. And then risk stratification could help us again to go and imply or utilize the modified burden scale tool, which was supposed to be filled within the first 24 hours of admission. So this shows the modified burden scale, a KNH tool 507 that is currently in use and has been adopted in the medical wards. It shows the risk factors for patients developing pressure ulcers, and the next page is about categorization of these patients at high risk, at risk, high risk, and very high risk, so that definitive actions can be undertaken. So in terms of the results, we saw that we came up from 9% of utilization of pressure care bundles. From 9%, we went up to 40%. And again, there was a drop in at a season, and this was notified that there was reorganization of these particular wards when KNH was going into full specialization. That really affected the medicine department. But eventually, we again picked up the improvement journey and ended at around 51% of utilization of these bundles. So in this journey, we saw that there are impact on the outcomes that we saw. Measures to prevent pressure sores on at-risk patients will reduce development of pressure ulcers, therefore reduce the length of stay for these patients, decrease the cost of care for both the hospital and the patient, as well as decrease the nursing care hours taken for bed sore management. So for sustenance, we came up with this table to ensure that we sustain this improvement process so that we are able to maintain it and assess it at again another particular time. So we looked at activities, owner, sustenance method and frequency, and the person that we need to report to. So the first of it is champion identification. The ward in charges are supposed to identify champions among the nurses who are going to carry out this improvement journey. Bi-weekly sensitization of staff members on ulcer prevention and emphasis on the use of the identified care bundles, as well as mentorship. And this was to be reported to Department of Nursing Manager. Number 2, leadership buy-in and interest to support this improvement journey. The owner is the office of the DNS and the ward managers, whereby they need to offer leadership regarding the adoption of ulcer care, implementation of the bundles, and include this as part of the performance targets in all the nurses' performance targets for this year. And this is to be reported to the Director of Nursing Services. The third one, we need to share and spread the improvement achievements to other related medical units. So from the 2 pilot wards, we plan to roll out the project to the other medical wards that need also to take up this process. And this is to be guided and managed by managers and the QI team. And then last but not least, the full adaptation of burden scale assessment tool and its implementation, which is supposed to be driven by the primary nurse. Through standardization of pressure ulcer assessments, the primary nurse is supposed to do daily assessment of all admitted patients for risk of ulcer development and plan the care based on the need identified. And it's supposed to be reported to the ward in charge or ward managers for the specific medical wards that we intend to roll out the process to. And key learning points on this journey, we realized that we need teamwork, and this has already been elaborated by my earlier presenters. Initiative and individual commitment to the process is very, very important. And again, successful implementation of any QI journey or improvement process involves key frontline staff who need to be fully involved, especially on the background issues. And this is where we were supported to identify the main problems that are affecting our patients we used the frontline staff to come up with this problem, and that's how we decided to work on pressure ulcers. And finally, we need to talk about challenges we encountered throughout this QI journey, and majorly staff shortages and issues of staff culture and accountability issues in terms of patient safety. These are some of the challenges that could have affected our outcomes as well. But all in all, we are happy that Stanford Acquire Learning journey was well taken, and we acknowledge them for supporting us in this improvement journey, as well as KNH. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Lillian. I'm checking to see.
Yes.
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 Go
So
ahead. Go ahead.
Lillian, I think to wrap up, we will address just each presenter will address one question and give a parting shot, because you've taken quite a while. I think now we've learned, next time we'll make them much shorter presentations. But in case Mr. Mbidi is still with us and Mr. Odwar, we can start in the order of how they came. But as they do that, I would love us to give the virtual claps for them and just appreciate that they've really done a great job. And we have gleaned a lot as an institution, also as all the participants who are here. So kindly could we have a parting shot from Mr. Dennis Bidi, and maybe he could answer a question concerning when QI does not produce results. That was from one of the presenters, and maybe give a parting shot. Mr. Mbidi, are you with us?
Yes. So I want to say that quality improvement is cyclic. It starts somewhere and it goes round and round. So if you have done a good analysis, root cause analysis, then we find that the results are positive. When you find there is an end somewhere, you need to reflect back and see, have I really done a root cause analysis of what is happening? So the steps need to be followed well so that we attain or actualize our objectives. So go back, check what is happening, check the gaps, and replan again. And I think things are going to be well. As my parting shot, I want to say thank you to all participants and the KNH for organizing continuous improvement forum. And as healthcare workers, we have a duty to make sure the services we offer to clients, they are of quality. We need to check on our attitudes as we deliver these services. We need to make sure that our customers are satisfied. Otherwise, I appreciate. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Mr. Dennis Mbidi. We have now expanded our networks and passed our gratitude to NNAK. And thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. We will now go to Mr. Odwar. Thank you for sharing with us, even from very far. Kindly, would you respond to the question about the difference between monitoring and evaluation and QI, and add something about the role of innovation in QI? Then you give your parting shot. I can repeat again, M&E, the difference between M&E and QI, and you can infuse it with the role of innovation in QI, and then give your parting shot. Welcome, Mr. Odwar.
Thank you, Dr. The difference between QI and M&E is basically, I would want to start with what is commonly known and that is monitoring and evaluation. In M&E, basically what you look at is you are tracking the implementation of the data as it goes, and you are not really intervening, because if you have a program, let's say a program running a year or so, you've got indicators that you're tracking, and you've got outcomes or targets that you are looking forward to. So basically your role within the M&D department or units is to track, do you have the required resources? Have you have the necessary inputs in place? Are you handling the necessary processes that you need to have? Or are you seeing the targets or the outcomes that you desire? That is the role of M&D. Now, KY basically is the intervention arm. If you see there is a problem or there is a gap, the intervention practice is the QI is now the intervention arm of it. In that, you've been tracking an indicator through M&D frameworks and M&D units across 1 year, and you realize that at the point that you are doing your data audits, you realize that there is a gap. Something is amiss somewhere. Now, your next management toolbox, tool in the toolbox is basically QI, whereby now you come up to speed and try to narrow down this gap. What is it that might be causing it? Let me use the pressure source from KNH. Through monitoring and evaluation, they were tracking the indicators, and they come to a point where they realize that they are performing at 9%. They realize that definitely there is a gap somewhere. There's something that we need to do. Now, within the management toolbox, they now go and fish out QI and come up with the ideas of change, straight from trying to narrow down on the root causes, getting a packaging and change idea in relation to the driver diagram that they've come out with, designing a test idea and putting it exactly into play or implementing across the practice. So in this regard, you realize that M&E, the indicators and the tracking and every data that comes through the M&E section has informed the improvement idea that now KY steps into play to plug the deficit or bridge the gap. So that is that's the relationship that the two have across. They're interrelated, working across hand in hand. None of them works minus the other. Even quality assurance, with quality assurance, you do QA across the unit, the gaps that you pick out now to implement and drive the change that you need, that you want to test around, now you pick up QI. Now, the role of innovation. In the practice of QI, as I said earlier on, is more about testing ideas, testing change ideas. And when change ideas are tested and let's say a quality improvement team feels sufficiently comfortable that the idea they tested out is able to result into improvement, at that point, we regard that as an innovation. So the role of innovation in quality improvement practice is that it is innovations that drives us to the level of spreading the ideas, getting to norms and even standards, and also ultimately packaging this into SOPs, guidelines, and new evidence that we are going to base practice on. So at that level, you realize that each and every QI team or QI unit or unit, service delivery unit, is able to contextualize or localize their change ideas that they call innovations. Because what we are talking about in an innovation is not something new. It's basically tweaking the way something has been working around. It is quite different from because in the semantics, there is innovation where you're looking at tweaking what already is, and then there is also the aspect of generating a new subject or reinventing the wheel. And when you look at the component of innovation, it works around what already exists within the facility, be it a unit or be it a hospital. The resources may be constrained, but the desire to change is there, or to move towards the next step is there. You look around at what can you tweak in what you desire or what you already have to make the next step. So that is how innovations drive the urge to change and support KY practice. I hope I've done justice to that. And parting shot.
Done very well. Your parting shot.
Yes, my parting shot basically from what I was talking about. At the end of it all, KY is behavioral. Whether you are leading a small team or you are an improver by yourself, it is the behavior around you. If you are leading a unit, even in the basics of hand washing, if you are the senior most, let's say the senior most doctor or nurse in that unit, whether you're pressed for time or you're pressed for resources, if you need people to be washing their hands, you can't cut corners. And that is basically the embodiment of behavioral modeling for KY. Whatever is it that you desire for your team to follow, as an improver or as a team leader, you have to embody that and carry it across the board, because all the time, your team members will be looking at you. And finally, KY takes time. And there's an analogy that I would like to bring us around. When you are teaching your child to tie the shoelaces, you give them a new shoelace. You are very well aware that they may not get it the first time, but you don't castigate them and say, you are good for nothing. You give them another try, another try, another try. And that's the essence of KY. Always trying out, encouraging your team to give it a next try. They learn from the processes and make it better. Thank you all for the participants who've been with us all through, and KNH for inviting us and inviting me for the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Odwor. We now have you as part of our repository. Thank you for extending your knowledge to KNH. We will go to Lillian, who will give us her parting shots and just give a little bit of how you can balance between improvement and doing your work as a frontline healthcare worker. How do you make your team get value in doing this extra effort of collecting a bit of data? Just any insight about how you navigated that as a leader at the front line, that people could give a little effort towards this. And then you give your parting shot, Lillian. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. For me, I think my experience is that when we sit down to develop or to come up with teams, we explore these ideas with our members, and you find that some of our frontline members are really willing to work on these things, but they don't have the avenue or the opportunity. So I realized that even so much is they have the potential, and there's so much that they need to do, but we don't have avenues such as these processes. And when we explored with them the Stanford Acquire Improvement Project, they were very much willing to participate. And within the framework of our nursing, you realize that we always have scheduled works, and once people meet the minimum, they don't see the need for going that extra effort. But it's the same as we talked about the culture, that when you are in Mombasa and everyone is in those box shots, you realize that there's that feeling good that you want to join them, isn't it? So when something good is happening and everyone sees that things are changing, actually, they are much more willing to join you in the journey, and that's where you get the effort and the spirit comes in. So it's basically behavioral, as Mr. Odwor has put it. And what I saw with my team is that the willingness is there, and we also need a bit more of support from the management. And once we put this across to them, I think they are willing to support us and a bit more initiatives needs to be put across for this kind of initiatives, because when you look at our schedules as nurses, it's a very tight schedule, and we are always sort of staff. So if you want to bring in another extra duty on people, you find that there is some resistance. But we need to urge, and we need to come up with what we call them. We call them initiative to do what? To motivate people. And then that's what I saw. And then an improvement also implies that we don't have to get it right at the first time. So we work with small improvement, small bits, and then we also need to learn the culture of celebrating success. I realize that we need to celebrate small successes, however small it is. We need to celebrate it and celebrate the people who have worked towards that. And that's my parting shot to the team. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very much. I will have Chelimo, who is hosting the QI week, give a general comment as we come to a close. Chelimo.
Thank you, Dr. Troy, for the opportunity again. Just to mention that let us put QI to be part of our day-to-day work, and we put in our minds that we are potential patients. As healthcare workers, we are potential patients, and so let us purpose and have the intention to improve the work that we are employed to do, and do it small. And again, to mention that let us standardize, have a standardized way, and which is evidence-based, scientific way of doing things. So just to mention that as we are working as healthcare workers, let us do it as a team, not as a cadre. And in QI, it works best when we do it as a multidisciplinary. So again, there is this saying that do unto others what you would like others to do unto you. Being a patient, remember I mentioned that we are also potential patients. So let us do our best when we are giving this care, knowing that we need the best when we are in that place where the patient is. So thank you so much, members who have joined today's webinar. I want to appreciate everyone, and let us keep moving. This is a QI week for the whole nation. Remember I said it is November is a World Celebration QI week, and so KNH, we are not left behind, and we are inviting all of us to give us support through the week. Tomorrow we'll have again webinars at the same time, and probably in the next first and second, those of us who are within KNH, you can join us to see a showcase of our posters of QI that we've done in various units and departments, so that at least you can borrow something from that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chelimo. So another round of applause. We appreciate Mr. Dennis Bidi, Mr. Odwori, and then also Lillian and Chelimo. We are really grateful for your time and your sharing your insights. So this continues tomorrow, and tomorrow the icing on the cake will be surgical site infection project, when Lillian Atieno and the team did pressure ulcers in medicine. The surgery side did SSI. So you are really welcome, and thank you, KNH Research and Programs Department, Dr. Karingo and the team. We are truly grateful. And then also Lillian, pass our regards to the rest of the team that participated in pressure ulcers. You have represented them well. And so we also thank God for just enabling us to have a good start. And with that, allow us to bring this to a close. Forgive us for being a little overboard in terms of time. Tomorrow we'll manage our time better. Do have a lovely evening. And bye.
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 Bye. Thank you, everyone.